Like, if they don't give jungle a more comfort matchup, then that's very bad. So, I mean, this started late. So, in the draft here, we've got, they first pick Rise again. I think that's great. I really enjoy the Rise first pick. I think it's good. They pick Renekton. The priority on Renekton here, I just don't. He doesn't provide the same value as Kennen did in a team fight, and even Kennen, I don't agree, should be as high prio. This also means that they give them another counter pick. So, what is EDG's problem with their drafts? That they're consistently giving a counter pick for no reason when they're on red side. I think their drafting is extremely poor. Like, extremely poor. I can't wait to start seeing them do something right. So they have Diana, which is a good pick. Don't get me wrong. They've gone with Yasuo. Okay, we've got the Yasuo Diana combo, so that should be really big. So this is a very big oversight from them. Now what we're looking for is, if I'm WE, I'm looking to ban safe ADCs. I'm looking to ban things like the Ezreal. I'm looking to ban things like the Varus, and just look to hard focus our draft on bot lane, which I think they're already doing here by the fact that they've left AD and support to last. So this is a really nice style of draft that I do like. It's kind of the same thing as Fnatic do to some degree. So I really like this draft. But I think this combo is a very potent combo. They do have a counter pick in top. Obviously they've chosen the Nara into the the Renekton. So they are going to look for that. This is a shame because I feel like EDG are one of the really good teams, and their drafts are very much letting them down. They're saving their counter pick for support again, but they've banned Leona, so I really like this adaptation from WE to ban that Leona away so they don't get an R5, because they're very comfortable with that. Again, why have EDG banned Ezreal here? I feel like this is such a bad ban because this mid jungle 2v2 is huge. So they really want an ADC on R4 that can just be as safe as possible, and they've already played the Ezreal, so they show that they like it. So I think they should have just took Ezreal on R4 here, and instead of banning it away and then banned away another kind of support, then they might not play. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to put so much into support here because you get a counter pick anyway. But I really think banning the Ezreal here was so grief by EDG. Like, I just don't understand why they do that. So we do see the Varus come out, which again is a very safe ADC. Like I said, the Varus, the Ezreal, things like that is safe. So I think they banned the Ezreal so that they can get the Varus and it can have a little bit more safety. But they've taken Rel, which again, I don't think they're going to go with Rel here. I mean, Rel would very much fit their draft though, so I don't mind it. Even though, you know, you are now picking an ADC last pick, which, you know, doesn't really do too much, especially since he's probably just going to play Varus anyway. But I think their team fight comp here is unbelievably good. They've gone with Tam. This is really bad. I don't like the Tam here. So I think this was pre-Tam rework anyway, where his E was on his W. So he is a much better support champion in this situation. But still, it was in this iteration of Tam that I didn't really like him as much. So now they're just looking for their ADC. I mean, the smart play would be to take away something like the Varus, or they could go with something like a Senna and just play it kind of crazy. Considering, you know, you need as much range as possible. Ziggs also works for that range. And they've just had an amazing... Oh, this is very... Oh, that's such a shame. They're just completely trolling. Like, there's some very good picks that will hover there. Like, Cogmore would be very good here, I think. Just for his range. Ziggs is obviously great, don't get me wrong. Now R5 ADC. Now Vayne, I don't think Vayne is safe enough to take here, although the entire of their team will be jumping in and disrupting them. So the reason behind why they've taken it is because if the entire enemy team is disrupted, then Vayne's going to have a free kind of game. Now what's going to happen though is if Vayne ends up in a position where she missteps, she's going to end up getting completely zoned away with the Ziggs ult, and it's going to do a lot of damage. Now, they are very short range, except for the Ziggs. Like, Ryze can obviously bounce off waves, but if they play within the jungle, then Vayne can actually do quite a lot, and she can, you know, also push the Gnar back as soon as he tries to jump, which could be very beneficial too, if she manages to pull that play off. It's very... low timer, but it can be okay. Now, this does make sense why they wanted the Renekton now. I still don't think it was good R1, but they are going for this huge team fight comp and just disrupt them for as much as possible, and then just let the Vayne do damage. So that's what they're looking for. I do like the comp. Again, I think they're way too AP heavy, and they don't have that Gangplank top lane now because they didn't choose to go into it as that main AD threat. Now, Nard doesn't really provide as much as an AD threat into a team as the GP does. So I think this is really going to be their detriment. Now, obviously, I know, unfortunately, we already know that EDG win this game, but it's good that we can see why they win this game without actually seeing the game, you know. We know because they're at Worlds and they would have got knocked out here by WE in this third game. But now they're going to come for this reverse sweep. So now we can actually see how they adapt, and hopefully we can see some of the positive sides to EDG right now, because in the past 2 games it's just been negative. But the fact that they win means that their mental is they can bounce back. Like, that second game was a very, very hard stomp, and they've still managed to bounce back. So we're not doing anything crazy at level 1. EDG are a very heavy scaling team right now, especially with Yasuo and the Vayne, so they don't really need to look to do anything crazy in this early game. They're just looking to play it out. Now, I do actually like the pathing this time from the Diana, because she's taking a red buff so that she can path in bot lane, since Vayne is her priority target. So in this game she is actually pathing properly, which is good to see. So maybe we can, it's like a common thing with EDG that when they don't get the opportunity to path, when the jungle kind of doesn't really understand his role in the game as much early, then he starts pathing into the wrong ways and ends up throwing the game from level 1 pretty much. So Beishang starting red. He is taking his chickens as well, so I like to see this. I think he's going to go with red into his chickens, into his grump, and then look for an early kind of gank on this top lane, since Adana will be pathing into bot side. Now, taking red, chickens, and grump is the fastest way to get level 3 in the game. So it's a very, very good jungle path that you can abuse, because you do get this blast gun to go over as well. Blue takes a lot of time to take, and you don't really need it for, well, you don't need it for level 3, so you don't actually need to go for it. So he's actually going to look for a lot of pressure on top lane, especially considering, you know, Vayne can skirmish quite well into like this bot lane, since she can do a lot of damage to the Tam Kench, and also she has that movement speed towards enemy champions, so she's going to look for that as much as possible. I really hate what Breathe is doing here, because he's starting an engage and he's starting a fight at the time where Renekton is pushing in, but the Xin Zhao is on his way. So now Breathe is already too low HP that the Xin Zhao can't commit to this kill, even though he's been pathing around getting there at level 3. So this is really, really sad to see, and Breathe completely inted by going for that trade there when the wave was pulling into him anyway. Like, I hate to see stuff like that, because the Xin Zhao was pathing really intelligently, just got completely shafted and shut down. Like, that's kind of sad. Like, I mean, nothing's really going to come out of this, so. The thing is, EDG have such a big combo here that, like, they can do so much. Like, so much, it's unreal. But they just have to wait till Yasuo's at 6, Diana's at 6, and then they can play around that. Diana's level 4 to Yasuo's level 3, which I just find funny. So she did manage to get that crab too, and she's also using the bot prior to go and take out Krogcamp too. Renekton's wave's crashing into him anyway. Now it's probably going to look for a reset there and just kind of get tempo back, so it doesn't really matter too much. Okay, so really big trade on the Tam Kench though. I hope they don't flash, thank God. So they could potentially, they can't really dive actually. Vayne can't push the wave in. If they try to dive here, this is completely grief, because they've already just chunked Tam out and managed to get his exhaust there. Like, and Vayne doesn't have wave clear. Like, one of the main things that they should have been looking to do here is, to be honest, if like this top matchup isn't really going to get influenced as much by the jungle as what could potentially come bot lane, because what they could do here is there is a Yasuo which does have a lot of mobility, but they can easily get away as summoners and potentially get a kill on him if Ryze just plays the like lane really slow early, and then they abuse the fact that Vayne doesn't have the ability to wave clear. So what could have happened is Beishang could have gone blue into Gromp into red, come down and kind of helped the Ziggs and Tam push the wave in, which then would have given them the tempo that they could roam into other lanes and maybe come into mid lane and get the Yasuo's smite away from the Yasuo's flash away. So that's what they should have looked to do in this early game, but they didn't. They went Pathra on top anyway, and then Breeze just completely griefed it. So now the Xin Zhao has a lot less pressure because the Diana hasn't been punished for farming, so she's just going to farm like crazy. Although we do see it again that the Diana has actually opted into Fleet Footwear. I'm fairly certain anyway. So she's ended up going with the Blasting one first, which I don't like because Alternator Sword Shoes is such a huge power spike on these AP junglers that she should have just looked to keep farming until she got Soul Shoes and then reset and then get Alternator on second base, and then she'll have Alternator and Soul Shoes for ganks, and she'll have her ultimate available too. So she'll actually start one-shotting people with this farm lead, whereas she'll get this huge lead against, say, the Xin Zhao that is going to end up losing a lot of tempo in kind of the mid to late-ish game, which is going to be detrimental because he's not really going to have the ability to go in, because one of the things with Vayne is she's not really a very long-range ADC as well. So if Xin Zhao ults her, I'm pretty certain she can still auto-attack him from the very edge of his ultimate, and then if, say, they jump on her, she can just instantly RQ stealth away and kind of stay safe that way. But we do see this lane swap again from the Ziggs, which it was okay in the last game when they had a huge advantage in bot lane and they got all the plates. But I think here, even if he does get the kill, I really don't think that's worth. Because they're leaving Vayne alone to farm in a lane, and she's going to be such a huge hyper carry late game that I just think it's very grief that the Ziggs even considered leaving lane here. Like, the Vayne is now going to crash these waves. Zig loses so much XP. He didn't even get a kill from top lane either. So now Vayne is even gold. And she's, even though he's got an assist. And she's going to get plates upon plates here. She probably gets a second one and then clears a wave and resets. But the fact that she's going for this second plate means that she does have to look to clear this next wave. So we get a replay here again. It was a nice Ziggs E to block off the Renekton's path, and the Xin did miss his W. Now, it was a shame that the Ryze did get that TP in with his ultimate. If the Ryze didn't use his his ult there, then that really wouldn't have gone so well. Now, Vayne is struggling a little bit because she can't really reset because, again, she doesn't have the wave clear to keep pushing. Going for that second plate was a little grief for the fact that she didn't even get it. But we can see Rel is okay. So nothing really happening here. They've WWE have got vision of the dragon anyways, so and Vayne is on a Vampiric Scepter, which means she's going to be able to survive a little bit more in the lane, which means they've now missed this big opportunity to punish Vayne before she has sustain. Because now, if they push waves into her, she's just going to heal up off the waves with that Vampiric Scepter, which will end up turning into a shield bow. She'll be able to go shield bow Wit's End, which massive amounts of magic reduction means she's just going to take over this game as soon as it gets to 25 to 30 minutes. So what they're really looking to do is just wait until that point, and I think the fact that the Ziggs roamed early and just allowed her so much freedom in the point where she's weakest in the game is unbelievable. I can't believe it. So they're looking for a potential dive up here. I'm not sure I like this. I think they're putting a lot of pressure on this top side, even though I think bot is kind of where they want to be. So I think that's kind of risky. Even though, obviously, they do have Yasuo down now. Yasuo's going to start popping off as soon as he starts getting his crit now. He's got his boots first to lower that cooldown on his Q from the attack speed. But he's going to start looking to go into his crit now, and then he gets, obviously, double crit. So, it's very, very good on him. Those agility cloaks are actually going to give him 30% instead of 15%, which is very big. It means that the item is basically gold effective on Yasuo and Yone, whereas, you know, it's not as much on other champs because they don't get it doubled. So they get a massive amount of gold from going crit. And obviously the crit's nice as well. So EDG managed to get this Herald away, which is going to be really big. Now what I want to see them do with this is actually go down and use it with the Vayne in bot lane. Just crack her like lane opener and then just let her kind of farm mid lane instead. Where she's safer and it's easier for her to just farm up to her important items. Also going to mean that she can rotate into areas faster as well. And even though she doesn't have that wave clear, it's going to allow Yasuo to get that pressure in the side lane where he can clear waves way faster and allow them to get kind of pressure elsewhere. So this first herald is gone, and there's also 3 plates on bot lane too, so I'm actually interested to see what happens. And Viper walking all the way back means that they really don't have information on where the rest of the team is. So here we can see that nothing really came out of this. Yasuo's win wall is very, very big because it stops obviously the right Q's going through. It won't stop his W, but if you can't proc it, then I think if he walks close enough, he just dies anyway. So they did manage to get kind of like a brief example of that kind of Yasuo and Diana combo there, which is very, very prominent. Okay, so Renekton gets a little bit of a trade top lane. Nari's kind of one of the few lane bullies that can play aggressive into Renekton, but the only kind of problem is with Na being a situational champion, it can be very, very rough. Now, the Renekton does manage to get out with his... No, he doesn't, never mind. The Ryze managed to hit him. Could have bounced it off the wave as well, and it would have killed him too because he was so low. But they do manage to make an equal play bot lane. Now, this is kind of bad though for WE because they're just giving Vayne so much space where they should have just been focusing her as much as possible. Ooh, hiccup. So they should just be looking to focus her as much as they can, but they're just not, and she's just allowed to do whatever she wants. The fact he has a CS lead on the Ziggs is crazy at the 10-minute mark. But they're just going to try and get this Renekton again. Like, the Renekton this game is just going to be a meat shield anyway, so I don't see them being much value in them focusing him out. Maybe it's because they think that's their only kind of win condition, or they just like playing towards him. I'm not entirely sure, but... So, yes, we're going to reset off. So we still haven't got an in-20 crit yet. He's gone for Noonquiver and Vampiric. Unfortunately, I'm not versed enough on Yasuo's build path to know if he should have gone the crit early. I feel like it would have benefited him a lot. 30% crit is a substantial amount. But I guess he just prefers a straight AD, which also does make sense. Like, he wouldn't really use the... actually, I guess Noonquiver applies... I don't know if it applies on his Q, actually. Maybe it applies when he EQs a wave and you can just clear it very fast through that. I'm not entirely sure. Nice little ward spot by Missing. That's kind of one of the... I guess kind of secret ward spots of support where you can abuse the ward range in order to get that Tribush warded, which does end up actually turning into a kill on the Vayne potentially. Okay, no, so she actually manages to kite out for herself perfectly, and she actually, now she's just free to do whatever she wants while the Rel disrupts him in the back, and she's just going to keep doing a shit ton of damage. Okay, so Ryze ult on top, she's going to have to flash over the wall, but Ryze is going to follow her. Okay. So she didn't have her E up, so, I mean, the Ryze is huge. He's very, very strong right now. Now, again, WE showing that they have a much kind of stronger early game than EDG, which, again, it's kind of one of the things that we're seeing with a lot of these teams. So, this is what we also saw with FPX. Is that they're kind of playing this kind of early game, kind of very very rough. Like they're giving away so much early game, which isn't too bad because they do have a Vayne and they'll just scale, but they're getting outclassed in the early. Now, unfortunately, like this is one of the times where I feel like with the Vayne's itemization and the way that this game is going, that she will definitely come back into this game and do a ridiculous amount of damage. But we're just kind of waiting for that point where she actually comes back. Which again, once she gets her wit's end, she has boots and shield bow now. As soon as she gets its wit's end, she's going to be extremely powerful since her Ryze and the Ziggs damage against her gets reduced by a significant amount as soon as she gets that item. Again, they're trying to just dive this top lane. He's got double E, okay, nice to dodge the Xin Zhao W with that, which is very, very good. So the Vayne has now made the decision to come into the mid lane. Like we previously said, we've sent the Yasuo into the side lane to just farm it up and clear out them waves way easier so that he can rotate into the fight faster than what Vayne can. Vayne can now easily just keep farming this mid wave. And she can get to that wit's end very, very easy. Now they are getting the Herald here. I don't think this is worth because there is camps available to take in the bot lane, which Ziggs can just instantly clear that. But now Yasuo ends up stealing camps away from the Xin Zhao for no real reason. And the thing is, the best thing they're going to get is a tier 2, which unless Sin gets solo gold on that for 600 gold, then this isn't worth it. And obviously you can't give solo gold from that Herald to anybody else because he's the one that's going to end up popping it. So I think that at this stage of the game, going for a Herald in this kind of game state is just really bad. The only thing they can potentially use it for is to get Prio in order to get the dragon, but overall still I think this is a really, really bad decision by EDG. By WE, sorry. So EDG are on the objective first, so they get first vision. This can be good because now they're defending vision rather than trying to deny it, which means, you know, the enemy don't have any idea what they're trying to do. This Vayne is resetting here. She must have a lot of gold and they're just looking to give away this dragon. I don't see why she'd be looking to reset either way. Like, otherwise, it is an ocean mark, which means there is a chance that it could spawn Cloud. So maybe EDG are just thinking that while we don't know if it's going to be a Cloud Soul or an Infernal Soul, we're going to potentially give this away and continue scaling. I'd like to see EDG come into the top side of the jungle and clear some of them camps away. It is a Cloud Soul, so they did kind of get away with it. Cloud Soul is kind of good on Vayne anyway, though, because of the amount of movement speed that you get when you pop your ultimate. On top of the normal movement speed, it just means she can run them down. So overall, I think it was the right decision for them to give that Ocean Dragon away, but I do think that EDG now are going to start focusing these dragons way more, considering the gold difference is very similar now, considering the kills difference, which is very, very good. Because what's going to happen now is the bounty that is accrued on this rise of 300 gold, as soon as that goes over to anybody on EDG, they're going to get a gold advantage, which if that goes over to the Vayne and she manages to get a wit's end off that, then that's going to be extremely strong. Like, that's, she's going to pop off like very heavily with those items. So I'd like to see her get it. I feel like she's not really going to be able to get up close to the rise. They do manage to use the Herald now. They're going to get tier 2. Okay, the Diana jumps on top and gets a very nice ult. Yasuo doesn't follow it up with his ultimate though. Why didn't Yasuo follow this ult? So where is Yasuo? So wait, I should put the... I haven't even been doing it on 1080, my bad. So where is the... so Yasuo's over here. So did he ult on that? Yeah, he must have actually. So we did ult on it actually. So they did get the full combo off. And I think now they do just hard win the fight. Because the Diana is so far ahead. So yeah, as we can see here, this is kind of the power of this combo. Now I can't see Diana being left open again while they're playing this combo. But the Vayne did get huge kills off her. So the Vayne got a lot of kills. I don't know if she got the Rise bounty. No, so the Yasuo got the Rise bounty, which is completely fine as well, because he's still a massive hyper carry for the team. So this is actually very, very good for EDG now, and I think this kind of, like I said, they've managed to get this bounty now from the Rise and actually got a gold advantage off it. So now they've got gold advantage on a comp that scales infinitely better, and they can just ride this gold advantage out until Vayne 2 items and then they just win. She could then just go something like PD and just instantly kill somebody because she's so far ahead. That's kind of what Vayne does. She's good at kind of singling out one person and doing so much damage to them through her true damage and attack speed buffs that she can pop off. So she does have that dagger right now. It's probably going to go into a Phantom Dancer. She could have potentially... No, that's going to go into a Phantom Dancer, I'm fairly certain. They are slightly longer range. Especially they have range in Na, they have range in Ziggs. So I don't think Runins will be viable for her here. I think she still could go it and it still would work, but I think PD is just better because you get more gold from it. And especially when you start a fight and you get, I think it's Spectral Waltz, you end up in a position where you can just kind of pop off that kind of, I guess it's kind of a passive, even though it only activates situationally. So off that passive alone, she can get a ridiculous amount off in these games now, and I think she'll be able to do a lot, especially at the 3 arms. I think they just win this fight here, though. They've got a nice big flank wall coming in with the Renekton. Renekton's just going to be a meat shield. He's going to jump in, get a lot of damage off, okay, get some Zhonyas. Now, the Vayne is still hitting a wave to get Prio, so she's not in this fight whatsoever, and they're just completely wiping it. So now she's in this fight. WE just have to back away. There's nothing they can do here with this Vayne so strong. They're going to come down. They're going to get this dragon, like I previously mentioned. Now that they can... now that they know that it's a Cloud, it's okay if they want to go for it at certain times, but I think they are going to prioritize getting this mid prio. Not good that the Vayne is the one to try and get the prio. I would have much preferred to see Vayne on the dragon. But Yasuo is also getting prio in top, and Diana gets it pretty easy. WE are actually starting Baron here, though. They know that their vision is denied because this ward is here, and they're just going to look to run them down. Run it down, the Baron. Like, they're... I think they somewhat know, and this could be a really good fight. This is a very good call from WE, though, to actually have the you know, kahunas to fucking start this Baron like so early. But they actually managed to sneak it away, which is very, very good considering they're really, really falling behind. So this was a very, very good clutch play that they decided to go for. Like, that was very, very nice to see. It goes to show that this team are not giving up even when they're behind, which is very good. They have a Rise, they have a Ziggs, and I'm not sure if they know how much the comp difference is going to mean to them just yet. Especially since the last kind of Diana ult that came off, you know, Yasuo wasn't as strong. He did get quite a few kills and a big shutdown off that, though, and he is also building into a Wit 10 too. He has his Infinity Edge as well, which Infinity Edge second isn't as bad on Yasuo because he actually gets that 60% purely through Infinity Edge and Shield Bow. So that's good to see. So they're now... like, they're all they have to do now is clear away from the Baron, just let them farm them waves up, and then they can just force fights and just win off them. The Dragon isn't available just yet, and I mean, they did trade a Cloud Dragon for an Infernal, but for a Baron, but this Baron isn't going to last forever, whereas the Clouds are. So, you know, it's not the end of the world, especially when it synergizes so well on so many of their kind of team. Like, they're all based around their ultimate. Renekton ult, Diana ult, Yasuo ult, even Vayne and Rello. Like, they all benefit quite well off that movement speed that they get from Cloud Soul. So they're just looking to push mid in here. Scout going to clear side lane. Diana obviously got spotted on that ward. I don't know why Scout didn't just clear it on his way. That's kind of grief, because now Diana's position is revealed, even though it won't really matter. It's just kind of pointless. There's no real reason behind it. So we see them just coming up to the tower. They are going to shred tower. Ziggs can just clear the wave off quite easily, but he's nowhere near as ahead this game. And again, he's still going with this Morello's, which, I mean, isn't as bad this game because he's not as fed. Last game it was complete grief. But if this Rise, like, I mean, the Rise hasn't got Morello's because he has it. So that's kind of the benefit to it. Is the fact that now this Rise can continuously keep itemizing into damage. I would like to see a Rabadon's coming out of Rise right now. I feel like he needs to just be a carry this game, and he doesn't have Dark Seals, so there's no real opportunity for him to go Medjay's and just stack that. He's going for the Void Staff as well, which is also good considering on the side of EDG we have Steel Caps, we have Zhonya's, we have like some resistances on the Rel, but overall I don't think that he needed Void Staff just yet. I think that he should have prioritized going something like a Rabadon's and just kind of played around that. Maybe left the Void Staff till a little bit later. Although a lot of control wards in the inventories of WE, not as much from the side of EDG, but they do have a few of them down already. So Rise is just going to keep pushing out this side lane and then rotating fights, but okay, so Blastcone actually saved his life here, which is very lucky for him. So Breathe is actually going to get caught here by Diana. And Diana is very strong. She's got Proto Belt, which is good, and Boots, which she's getting double pen off because she's got 2 items. Actually, no, she's got 1. But she's still getting penetration from it, which is really good to see. It means that she can actually keep doing these fights. Actually, let's rewind this, just going to go over it in total. So we get the double TPs in after Na gets caught. He does have Rage Bar, so it is kind of dangerous to fight around here, but Diana actually flash ults the Rise, manages to get a knock up so that they can just kind of run him down. Vayne actually gets, I think, what is a shutdown to. Renekton is just being a massive disruptive champ right now. They don't want to continue going for this though. Baron is available and they have a Vayne. So they can just go for this. It was kind of nice that they stopped that now using his ultimate there, which was very good. If he would have actually managed to get his ultimate off, then that could have been pretty risky. We've got a TP coming in from WE instantly. EDG needs to back away from this Baron right now because they've got Baron's Gaze. They're doing a ridiculous amount of reduced resistances, but they do manage to get a nice pick and then go and finish the dragon since they managed to get that smite away from WE's side. So this is actually very good for EDG. And now what they can do is they can use this Baron to get Prio and waves and then get that Cloud Soul, and then Vayne is going to completely kind of turned on. So I guess if we want to replay this, we can see that the Dana gets his big chunk, and then we can also see that she actually manages to catch this Rise, which is huge. She ease onto the Na to get in range and then flashes on top of Rise for the knockup, which then allows Rise, the Yasuo to get in. So it's a really nice play from this Diana. It's nice to see Junji playing champions that I think he can actually play. I feel like, although he does have Morello's, which seems crazy, especially because Diana is an assassin. I guess he's reducing their healing for the Yasuo when he jumps in, but get Morello's there is so bad. Like, it's very, very risky. I would have even preferred to see her get like a Medjai's, get that extra penetration stack, or even just go into a Void Staff. I think Void Staff is very beneficial for her because she gets that kind of true damage, and we have some mercs on the enemy team. They're mostly building armor, but that's kind of int because I mean, it's kind of rough. Like, I feel like it's very, very difficult for WE to actually itemize in this game because they can't build. They have to build armor for the Yasuo, and then they have to build HP because of Vayne's true damage, but it's also max HP, so it's very hard to actually itemize into. They have no frozen heart on that side, so yeah, I think overall, like, it's very doomed from. I think this draft from EDG is like insane. It's just very strong. So now I want to see everybody reset before this dragon. So everybody just get a nice reset off and then come back. Renekton is resetting here. Diana doesn't want to reset. I guess she doesn't really need to. I would have actually liked to see a Nash's Tooth on Diana as well, to be honest. I think it gives her so much more value, and she's going to be hard farming into Zin anyway, so it just allows her to get to her 3rd, 4th, 5th item spike way sooner, in my opinion. She does have 8 stacks on the Daxi alone. She's not turning it into Medjai's, which to me is kind of bad because they're in a position where they're very, very ahead. And she should just look to turn that into a Medjai's and get that extra pen and just play around getting as many stacks as possible. Even if she doesn't get more stacks, like, as long as she's got 9, she's not losing any gold. So, you know, I think that would be big. Now they get this. Vayne's going to be completely enabled. I'm very excited to see this. The next big team fight, Flandre walks in, he's into a death brush. He actually gets completely kind of singled out. He's going to get melted down unless the Diana can actually come to save him. Okay, so the Rise ult gets cancelled and they just run them down. Okay, so they tried to get Flandre, but he's actually too far ahead, especially with his Spirit Visage when they're so AP focused, and the fact that his Xin Zhao is so far behind as well. He's got the Spirit Visage and the Sterax and the Gold Drinker. It actually just keeps him alive. So even though it's a Death Brush, it doesn't actually matter. That goes to show kind of how far behind WE actually are in this game. And EDG are just going to look to close it out here. They actually managed to get 2 synchronized waves. The bot lane is a bit unsynchronized. Renekton does have TP if he wants to go for it. But I think they're just going to reset and then look to push it in. They get double inhib now, so ending the game is very easy for them. All they need to do is all reset, back out, and then just go 5-man bot, really. Or they could send like the Yasuo into both top and mid to just clear out those, pushing those supers, and then it gives them free agency over bottom inhib. So we get to see this again. So as we can see, Renekton ult heals him for a lot, then he gets his Q heal, I think, and Gold Drinker. So he uses his empowered stun, gets it to full rage because he's got his ultimate available, and he just completely survives. So again, Renekton managed to survive that just because he's so far ahead, and now he's also got gargoyles too, so it's going to be even harder to actually kill him off. So they're going to actually just try it again. So this game, they just tried to focus Flandre like all game. They tried to just focus shutting him out instead of putting that focus on the Vayne. And now Vayne's worth 1,000 gold. And is almost full build with a QSS as well. She got GA too. She's just going to go nuts. They get this Baron very quick. And they're just going to look to team fight with Elder and with Cloud Soul and just win the game here. They've got this wave pushing in bot again for this inhib, like we mentioned. Damn, Seren spirits are annoying as shit. And now they just get the inhib. It's not really much that WE can do in this situation. EDG is just going to clean up. They can even just tower dive them under the double towers here, to be honest. It's not going to mean much. We are looking for that Diana to jump in, though, when they're grouped up. So especially while they're sat by these towers, especially in this situation, Diana should be just looking to use her ult Q, a flash with Q and ult. And that will actually just win them the game right now. Vayne is huge. They just need to die for it. Okay, so we've got the Na coming in with a flank. He does manage to get a nice ult, but it doesn't really matter because Dana just jumps on the back line. And then all of a sudden, oh, sorry, the Ryze, sorry. So Ryze got completely shut out of that fight. A nice ult on the Yasuo there, and everybody just survives because everybody's so far ahead. They can't really ever burst the Vayne out because the only one that can do damage is the Na and the Xin, and they're both too far behind. So this is a case of not having a strong AD carry, as you know, or just an AD carry, has just meant that they've just lost that game. So I think this was very, very heavily based on the draft. I don't think there was that much else to it. I mean, WWE did kind of int a little bit more, but very good at executing. Okay, so we've actually got some positive notes for EDG now. Thank God, because the first games they played were terrible. So we'll go on to the next one now.